Today we're doing things a little different. I'm going to have Nick G on. He's not had a near-death experience, but he has had some amazing out-of-body experiences. And this is Nick's first time talking in public. So I'm really excited. Anybody that knows me knows I love these newbies. And so Nick, I'm going to let you have the floor and you just tell us about Nick and your experiences.
Okay, well, I guess the most prominent one would be the one that was on NDE. Basically, what happened was that pretty much leading up to 2003, I was basically an agnostic / atheist. I really just placed no credence in anything beyond what I could see and feel. Anything I could experience with the five senses. And so I went to sleep that one night, and next thing I know, I realized that I had just awakened, as it were, and it was completely black. It felt like just sitting here now, but it was just, it turned out that I was in the void, and it was absolutely completely impenetrably dark. But and so I tried to strain, I tried to look, and I couldn't see anything in any direction, no matter what I did. But what I did realize is that I was also seeing infinitely in the process. And so there was, it was just literally nothing there. And so after about a few minutes of that, I thought to myself, I was like, gee, I must be dead. Oh, well, I was actually quite cavalier about it. And it was almost like it was an afterthought. I was completely disconnected from anything that had happened on Earth. And so after another minute or two of staring around, I was like, where's God in all this? And then right after I said that, this bright pinprick of light just suddenly appeared off my right side, as it were, associated with some sort of a far-off thunderclap, although it wasn't really thunder. And it would just disappear and reappear, maybe once every 3 seconds or so. And every time it reappeared, it got fairly closer. So it pulsed about 2 or 3 times, and at that point, I was like, uh-oh, I better watch out here, because I don't know what's in the light. I mean, I had an idea, but so then I figured to myself, well, let me concentrate on this. And I figured God's at the end of this tunnel. I knew that's what it was. So let me concentrate on him. And I thought to myself, boy, I better not think of anything bad. And it's like, then I thought to myself, no, that's silly. He already knows everything anyway.
You say God was at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I knew that the light was the tunnel, and that I was going to be going through it. So, and sure enough, at the last pulse, the light came to me and engulfed me. And then I started flying through the tunnel. And the way the tunnel looked is that it looked like the interior of a pitch black tornado with the walls twisting around themselves endlessly. But it was so streaked with blue rays of light on the side, which I could actually hear as I was passing by them. And I was going at an incredible rate of speed.
What did it sound like?
It sounded like almost like something is, I don't want to say the Doppler effect of a car passing by, but you hear it like, all you heard was a whooshing sound. And as I looked, I saw the colors streaking by, but I could tell that the whooshing sounds were actually the colors. And so I was literally hearing the colors as I was passing by them. And so next thing I know, I see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, extremely bright. And for a minute, I was worried that I was actually going to bump into the walls of the tunnel. But then I realized, because when they were swirling in and outward, they came relatively close to me. But nothing ever happened like that. I really was in no danger of touching the walls one way or the other. So, but while I was there, I also said to myself, I wonder if I can make this thing go faster. So I said, faster, come on. And I actually started going faster. Then I figured, let me try to slow it down. And as I said, slower, it actually happened. Then I was like, all right, let me just get through this. So I just said, let's speed this thing up as fast as possible.
Typical guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to linger around there any longer than I absolutely had to. So I make it to the top, and I had this strange feeling come over me that told me that basically I had arrived. And I found myself in front of an opening of a portal. I was still in the darkness, but not the tunnel. It was just beyond the tunnel. And beyond the portal, I could see swirling white clouds around a blue background and a massive ball of indescribable brightness at the center.
What the portal look like?
The portal itself looked like just like a demarcation point. It looked like I was actually after I left the tunnel, it was actually like a just more blackness. But then it was almost like it was almost like a circle that was cut out. I mean, this is huge. This is like a mile in diameter at least. You know, the portal, and it was just, you know, it was the darkness in the portal, and then the light, the clouds, and the sky beyond it. And when I actually realized that at that point, I was actually more aware of myself than when I was in the void. And I realized that I was actually only a puffball of energy at this point. I had literally no form. And it was amazing to just be, as it were. But I also decided to take a look around. And so even though I had 360-degree vision at the time, I decided to focus on the tunnel, or the mouth of the tunnel. And it turned out that it was actually darker and blacker than the blackness that I was even in beyond it. And I could actually see it swirling at the top. So I guess at that point, well, that's when I decided, all right, you know, I was looking at God, and I was like, man, he's incredible. It was like all the brightness in the universe put together times infinity. You know, like by comparison, staring at the sun for more than a split second is incredibly painful. Here, I didn't want to stop looking at him. You know, he is so extremely easy on the eyes. But so what happened was that I decided, well, I want to be with him. So I figured, well, I want to merge and just let that be the end of it. You know, no more earth, no more worries, no more nothing.
Isn't that funny how you say easy on the eyes? No, and we have no eyes. It's like we still have the feeling everything's still there, even though we know
Right.
physically not. Isn't that strange? I'm sorry. I just had to.
No. It makes sense. It didn't even occur to me actually until now. Right. Because I had 360-degree vision. I could see everything all at once. So, yeah, I talked about it in human terms. I didn't even think about it. But so what happened was that, unlike in the void where I couldn't move, and even if I could, there was really nowhere to go. Here, I found I could move just with an effort of will. So what I tried doing was I tried zooming through the portal into the sky itself. And every time I tried, I think I tried about 3 times initially. And every time I tried, they kept getting stopped by like a barrier. It was like almost like a marshmallow barrier. I would just be gently but firmly stopped. And so after that, I backed off for like a little while. And this next thing I know, again, on my right side, this radiant blue figure suddenly came to within my middle of the field of vision, blocking God's light.
What color?
And it turns out blue radiance. Yes.
Blue?
Yes, like a deep blue radiance.
Okay.
And he was, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Oh, yeah, no, he was over 100 feet tall, at least. I would say even more like 200. And he blocked my vision of God. Now, it was unmistakably Christ. You know, no features, just the deep blue radiance with the silhouette. And I thought to myself, boy, you know, I really just want to see God. I mean, he was beautiful, but nothing compared to the light behind him. So I was like, do you think you could just move over a little bit? And I didn't, obviously say it. I thought it. And so he did. He actually moved over for a little bit just to give me a glimpse, and then moved back in front again. And so for whatever reason, yeah. And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why doesn't he say anything to me? How come nobody says anything to me? You know, they're both there. Neither one of them is addressing me in any way, shape, or form. Granted, I wasn't exactly doing that either. It was just more out of curiosity and then just wonder of like the whole thing. And so I tried 3 more times to get through him. You know, I tried to zoom directly through him to get through the portal. And the same thing, I was stopped every single time by a marshmallow barrier. You know, and so, see if there's anything. That's pretty much. So yeah, basically what happened was that after that, after I tried 3 more times to go past him, I backed off. And then I just looked at him like, well, are you going to say anything to me or not? He didn't, of course. He just kind of stared at me. And then at that point, I was like, well, all right, what, now what? And next thing I know, I found myself actually starting to back away. They were basically pushing me back towards the tunnel. And I tried everything I could to stay, but no amount of force of will on my part was going to stop that from happening. So next thing I know, I find myself rocketing back down the tunnel again, and I see the light, just fading. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, this is not how I wanted this to go. I think I just totally blew my opportunity. and the next thing I know, I get dumped into a normal earthly dream at the bottom of it, which I couldn't tell you the first thing about now, but but going to him, absolutely. It was really surreal. So
isn't it funny how we keep our personality when we go to the other side?
And that was the thing I found. Nothing in me changed. I was still me in every way possible. I had an expanded awareness and, with the vision and my senses and everything else, but at the core, I was still me. There's no magical transformation that takes place. You don't suddenly become a great guy or girl or whoever, And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I could remember about that. And
we're not our church version of ourselves.
No. I don't think anybody really ever is. Basically what you see is what you get. What you are down here is exactly what you take with you when you go back there, and I know that to be true. That's why I'm very, very careful about trying to be a good person. But yeah, the one thing I did notice was I actually felt my oneness with him, and it really doesn't get any more personal than that, considering he was, right there with me. And then I also realized that I am is actually the very phrase that sums up all existence.
Yes.
And the other thing I felt was,
how did you come to that, noticing that?
It was just it was transferred to me. It wasn't really like infinite knowledge or anything being transferred in any way, just more like a feeling that, yes, we are all one. And it was, you just felt everybody and everything interconnected. And it also was accompanied, even when I was in the void, when I first woke up there, it was an overwhelming peace that I really can't describe. I'm sure you felt it during yours, and I really would love to get back to that again, because I'm normally like an anxious person, so
I know what you mean.
But I did find that when I got back, I actually had an effect on electrical equipment. So lights would flicker.
I'm sorry, I think I got you off track by my question. Where you were, and you were trying not to go back in. Was that the end of it?
Well, for that particular experience, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That was it.
Okay. Yeah, when I was in the tunnel with my second NDE, I noticed later that everything I kept saying to myself was, I am, I am, I am. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Like my whole conversation started with, I am this, I am that, I'm leaving my children. I am so sorry, my children, I am, all those things. It's just like, wow, I said, I am every sentence.
5 seconds. Right.
Yeah. And my tunnel was a lot like what you're describing. I didn't see colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was just a black tunnel then?
It was dim, and it was like shot like a rocket, real fast speed. But I didn't control the slow down. I was like, can I run away? Because I don't want to go where this is taking me. It's too far away from my kids. Can I? And I thought, oh, wow. Because every time I hear like a clunk, clunk, I thought, I'm way too far out now. There's no way I'm going to get back. It was like I was way out after galaxy and galaxy. And
right. I hear it.
God's way of letting me know, you're gone. You're not going back. Because when I was up there, I was told it was, was my time. So not like a lot of people. But anyway, I don't want to talk about me. Go ahead. So what else? So you had more of these? That was just the first, or?
Yeah, well, it wasn't the first. It just happened to be the most profound.
Okay.
And so, I've had other ones. I had one where I talked to you about it last night, where I went to sleep, and I felt myself rising out of myself, like astral travel. I've done that a number of times before, so I knew exactly what was happening. And for some reason, instead of trying to leave and go somewhere else, I decided to turn back around, and I looked at myself in the bed. My eyes were closed. I was up on, I was actually down on the pillows. And then I looked over at my wife, and I saw her reading a book. And so then I heard my guide B starting to talk to me. And to tell you the truth, I don't remember half of what we even talked about. What I do remember, though, is that earlier in that day, I had to get rid of some plants that I had, like herbs and whatnot, rosemary, thyme, sage. And it was just the end of the season. And I tried to bring the plants in. Didn't really work because they had bugs all over them. So I decided, let me just throw them out. And I felt so bad doing that. I actually asked God to let me escort the plants back to the spirit world. So that's why she was there, was to answer that. And I asked, hey, did God hear me? And she said, oh, yes, he heard you. It's just not going to happen tonight. And then she explained a couple other things to me. And so I asked her a couple other questions.
It's just not going to happen tonight. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, Nick.
Yeah, right. And so then I noticed that, like I said, I was staring at my body. And when I was asking the questions, my physical mouth was moving and murmuring them, even though I was telepathically speaking to her. And so then I heard my wife sit there and say, hey, are you all right? And I murmured, yes, I'm fine. And then she said, oh, okay. And so then I just went back talking to B, and there's a reason I call her B. I'll tell you that one in a minute. And so what happened was that I talked to her, and then the next morning when I woke up, I thought I had just dreamed that it was like a crazy dream that I had. So I asked her, I said, hey, was I talking in my sleep last night? She said, yeah, you were having quite the conversation with somebody. I asked if you were doing all right, and you said you were, so I just let you have at it. And so that was that occurrence. And then that was back in 2019. That was December of 2019 that happened. And
no, you said they started in, what did you say, 03?
03. Yeah, that was the original one the first one that I mentioned to you.
Now, have you been checked for like sleep apnea or anything to find out?
Yeah, I have been. I did a couple sleep studies, as a matter of fact, and they found that there was no apnea, nothing like that. I mean, I do have a reduced oxygen to my lungs because I actually have bronchiectasis. So I get about 90% of the oxygen I'm supposed to. But that wasn't really a cause of it. Oh, yeah. And so the other occurrence where I actually met her for the first time was, again, another dream sequence. And I found myself talking to my wife and in the dream, and she wanted to go to sleep for some reason. So she, my dream self of her just lied down, went to bed, and next thing I know, I see, like, I turned and I see this not a barrier, but it was almost like, I don't want to say a dream barrier, but what happened was that I had to tell myself, okay, I have to get into a more Zen mode if I want to see what's going on here. So basically what it was is that there was the bedroom area where Gladys was. And then beyond that, there was an atrium with a spiral staircase on it. So I went to the spiral staircase, and I saw these little golden notes on each step. So I started picking them up, and they were shining and everything else, and they had their own light. And every time I opened one said, you're doing a great job. The second one said, keep it up. And so then I woke up just on my own, decided to get back to sleep. When I did, I found myself right in the spiral staircase area again. So no matter what, she was, she intended for us to meet. So this time I saw a ball of light at the bottom of the staircase, and she said, hey, follow me to the top. So when I got to the top, I found myself in a forest setting with two logs, one on each side of a clearing. She was already seated on one, and I took the seat on the other. Now she looked like something literally out of a Pinterest fairy picture. Her outfit was nothing but green leaves that were interwoven, along with a set of wings four wings in her back, and a magic wand with a glowing star on the top. Now, clearly, that was just for my comfort and benefit. So
You know what's ironic right now?
what's that?
Look over your shoulder. Can you see in the screen? See a
Oh,
green leaf on your shoulder? No, over on the other side.
oh yeah, right there.
It's been over top of your shoulder the whole time. Like this is
I
little
didn't
wing
realize.
sprout.
So yeah, so I sat there and I said, I don't think I've seen you before. And you're not the guy that messed me the last time. And she said, well, no. She said, no, I've come to your case now. And I said, well, have I crossed some sort of developmental threshold or something? She said, yes, you have actually. She says, that's why I'm here now. And I said, okay, so what's your name? Then she pointed down and near my feet. I looked down and I saw this area of white blankness with the letters Bezerel, like just arranging themselves into her name. And it was like a 20-letter long name. But the first few letters, or the first 10 letters, were B. So I just call her B for short.
So ever since then, she's continued to appear in your
Well,
OBEs?
The first one, she appeared in the body, as it were. And then the second one was when she was just speaking telepathically to me, and I didn't actually see her, when I was actually outside of myself, staring back at my body. And so what happened was that I said, well, first I asked her if I could give her a hug. She, obliged. And then I said, so what am I doing here exactly? She says, well, I brought you here to meet me. And also, what was it? Oh, I brought you here to meet me. And I know that you've wanted to see your spiritual home. So I said, okay.
Would you say
So,
God, your spiritual hope?
No. She said, I know you wanted to see your spiritual home. And so, I didn't exactly get a tour. What happened was that next thing I know, I find myself in this building walking with this guy that I had no idea who he was. And he was just telling me, I came down to Earth 20 years before you did, and I'm glad I did because I can get back here sooner. And so he was already on an incarnation. That was just his higher self in the spirit world.
I'm sorry, what did he say?
Oh, he said, I'm glad that I came down 20 years before you did because I was able to get back quicker. In other words, he's still on an incarnation, but that was his higher self that was actually talking to me. And so then I said, well, where's my little corner of the spirit world? And so then next thing I know, I'm taking this beautiful mansion, a river's running through it. It's all sparkly and light in this winterscape. And it is the most beautiful place. Although at that time, I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to really go inside or anything. I just was curious. And so I, at that point, I said, you know what? My mom died about 10 years ago. So I said, I want to see my mom. And next thing I know, I'm in this dark, I just suddenly, everything shifted. I'm in this dark area, almost like the void, except I feel like a light switch has been placed over my shoulder. And just as I was about to grab it to turn on the light, I woke up. And so that was the end of that one. And as far as the one before it, where I had my other guide, what was it? Oh, I was in, again, I went to sleep and I woke up and I not really woke up. I was in a lucid dream. I realized I was dreaming. And so I said, I invite my guides to join me in my dream. And this is about 5 years ago. And so next thing I know, the dream subtly shifts to where I realized that I was no longer in control of it. And so I see a hallway suddenly appear. I go into it, and there's this one guy here cutting wood on a circular saw. I walk up to him. He didn't say anything. Then he pointed to the remainder of the hallway. So I go there, and there's nothing but an infinite hallway of doors. Fortunately, the one I needed was only right across the way. So I walk in there, and it's a classroom setting. And I see people that I've gone to college with, that I grew up with. Some I didn't know, others that I was friends with in middle school. And they were all connected to me in some way, shape, or form. And I'm certain that the ones I didn't know, I probably met at some point, but just don't remember them. So the teacher or the professor was actually my guide. And she looked kind of like actually one of my high school teachers. But she said, she never had me sit down or anything. She just said, okay, now that you're here, you can ask questions. And
You can
and
do
so,
what?
oh, now that you're here, you can ask your questions.
Ask your questions.
Yeah. And she says, I know you have a lot of them, but we don't have much time because I know you're going to wake up in the next 20 minutes or so. So I said, okay. So I'd been reading Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls prior to that. So I said, well, what's my soul color? You know, and she said, she started playing around with it, like, well, you know, soul color doesn't really matter. And I actually felt like that like even if I was a ranked beginner soul, that I was still valued and appreciated and everything else. So I understood where she was coming from. But then she said to the class, she said, do you think we should tell him? And they were like, And then I was like, oh, please, tell me. And they were like, okay. She said, you're light blue in color. So, and according to Dr. Newton's books, that's the note of an advanced soul. And I have had other interesting experiences that seem to confirm that. So, so what happened was that I asked a couple other questions, and she said, there's no more time for any other questions, but I will do this for you. The next thing I know, I feel this feeling welling up inside me, and all I felt was perfect love and acceptance and peace. It was unbelievable. And she said, keep that with you as long as you can when you wake up. I was only able to keep it for about a half an hour. I woke up like about 10 seconds after that. And so I kept it for about 30, 45 minutes. After that, it faded. And well, then I just went out the rest of my day. But I could never get that feeling back. And that's what told me that it was real. So, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I forgot to mention that when I was with B and the other one, she had this look about her. She looked average insofar as looks were concerned. She was brunette, just an average brunette looking girl. But I could tell there was some sort of a spiritual lilt about her where it just made her look so amazing, regardless of her actual physical features, that all I could say was, wow, wow, wow. You know, when I first saw her, I was totally captivated by her. So that's what told me that was real.
Did these OBEs change you from being atheist?
Yes. I'm not religious still. I actually eschew organized religion, because to me, each one of them just has a piece of the truth. And, you know, they basically, let's face it, they're not going to get very many followers by telling everybody they're going to go to hell. So, you know, and so I never believed in hell. Never. And that everything that I've experienced pretty much confirms it to me that it's basically it. You know, we all go back to the spirit world after we die. There's no torture. There's no eternal punishment. You know, because we're all pieces of God, and He's not going to do that to Himself. So, I mean, he'd be crazy to do that.
Do you feel any kind of relationship with Jesus, God, since you feel you've met them, or does that mean anything to you?
It means a lot to me, actually. Not so much a more personalized. Yeah, I guess I am, because now I know what I am means. You know, the infinite now, everything just being, period, and how everything just is. You know, and that was one of the major feelings I had, was the fact that everything really just is. You know, the infinite now, everything just being there at the moment, but not every event running into each other. You know, we're all kind of just I guess just the infinite now. I guess that's the best way to say it.
For a period of time, I kept waking up with the song "Let It Be" in my head. You know, just let it be, speaking words of wisdom. You know, I was like, there is a lot of wisdom in that, just to let something be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never had any music, unfortunately, but like I said, when I came back, I actually had an effect on electrical equipment. Lights would flicker on and off for no reason the minute I would enter a room. Twice when I came in to the living room, the TV just spontaneously turned on. And what else? My computer monitor would just blank out. No reason. It would just be on and it would just blank out. You turn it back on.
Do you have trouble with watches?
Never had any problem with watches, because I simply don't wear one. Yeah, I have more than one in like 20 some odd years. But
I can't keep a battery in one. It goes dead in no time. So
yeah, yeah, I just have so many clocks at home. There's really no point, you know.
when you're not asleep, do you have any kind of meditation, prayer, any kind of practice that you use to try to connect to any of that space, or you just wait and see what happens when you dream?
A little of both. I actually meditate quite often. I actually always try to do the Hong Sok technique, and it's basically where you basically just you sit quietly, and every time you breathe in and out, you always say Hong and Saw. Hong in the inhale, and Haw and Saw in the exhale, and basically just means I am spirit, I am he. So I do that for about 20 minutes every day, usually twice a day if I can get away with it. And after that, I like to tell myself before I go to bed that I'm going to have a lucid dream, and try to convince myself that. Never does really work, but then I realized to myself, I'm an insomniac by nature. So if I say stuff like that to myself, my mind's just going to run all night and I'll never get to sleep. Unfortunately, it means I can't prep myself to have a lucid dream either. So it's kind of a double-edged
What would you
sword.
call a lucid dream versus an out-of-body experience for you?
Well, I found there's a couple different types of dreams. One is the standard one where you're just an observer, and just a normal dream. Lucid dreams where you're in control of the environment, and you can pretty much, you're God there. You can pretty much do anything you want. And then the OBEs, like I said, when I asked my guys to join me, and when I said things suddenly shifted, number one, they changed the landscape. And number two, I got the distinct feeling that I was no longer in control. That even if I wanted to change something, I couldn't, because that would be detrimental to what they were trying to do for me, which was to meet them. So they had to take control of it. And that's how I knew that each one of my experiences was actually valid, because every time something like that happened, I realized I was not in control of this. It was always some external force. Oh, cute cat.
That's Freddie Mercury.
Oh, nice. I've always been a Queen fan.
So, okay. So is there anything else you'd like to include?
The only other thing I can think of, again, this was more of a lucid dream, but I found myself in like a temple that was that had a bunch of platforms on it, and it was hollow in the center, but it had almost like risers on the sides, and I found myself drawn to the light. There was like a light blue platform, and it was radiating light, and I saw green, yellow, white, all the other typical colors that you would think of as spirits. And I tried sitting in a few others, but I only found myself drawn to the light blue one, the sky blue one. And then again, after that, it shifted subtly, except I didn't end up speaking to anybody. I just realized that, wait, this is probably more real than I realize it is. And then after I woke up, I was like, okay. So it looks like I am attracted to the color of light blue when it comes to that. And I also had, the only other thing I can think of is that back in the same year, 2003, I attended a transcendental yoga course, and one of the people that was there actually was able to channel Kuan Yin, who's basically the goddess of compassion. And so she asked me, what did I want to know? And I said, okay, well, have all my experiences been true so far? She says, yes. And I said, well, what is my spirit color? She said, light blue. So it's been confirmed in a few other areas other than just me having that one experience. My guy told me it was. So that's pretty much it.
The students you saw, are they past? Are they still living people? What do you make of seeing them?
What I made of seeing them was that it's all the people that have been and will be in my life. Some that I haven't met yet. Others that, that again, like I've gone to college with, others that I knew as children, and some that I just simply didn't know at all. I'd say about half of them I didn't know. And the half that I did know was right up front, with the closest to me with the desks.
I asked because, you know, like a near-death experience, if you see someone the other side, they've passed. And so you're having these out-of-body experiences, but you're seeing people from your past that have not passed on.
Mhm.
I assume they're the age they would be now, and not as children when you knew them, or
No, they were at their adult ages.
yeah.
Yeah. And so,
What do you make of that?
to be honest, I'm not really sure what to make of that. I just assumed that it was, like I said, there was about 40 people there. And so I just assumed that it was all the people that were involved with my life in some way, shape, or form. People that I have, uh, you know, uh, interacted with in the past. And so,
Were these people that had an impact on you, do you think, in some way? Or
I,
just maybe picking up on your memories and your sleep? I don't know, you know?
well, I would, there's no reason for me to think of any of these people at all because I haven't had contact with them in like 20 years. So, actually, I was actually surprised to see half of them there. So yeah, if any of them had passed, I didn't know it because like I said, I recognized a lot of them, but not, but the ones I saw that I knew of were still living because they'd be about my age now. So
Be interesting to kind of make a list of their names and just kind of check, see, are they still living, or
right,
just curiosity?
yeah, and that's pretty much about it.
Is that the one time, was it, you said 09, is that the only time you saw like a Jesus and God
Well,
representative?
yes, that was the only time I saw them, and like I said, I felt, well, I guess I didn't say this yet, but I felt that Jesus was actually God in the form of a concept that I would be comfortable with at the time because I was actually raised a Catholic, and my mom drilled it into me whether I liked it or not as a kid. So I suspect he was projecting the form of a concept that I would be comfortable with.
How did you go from Catholic, raised Catholic, to atheist, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh yeah, well, basically, I never really believed it. Like I said, she drilled it into my head as a kid, and I just thought it was wishful thinking on her part. She would drag me to church every now and again, but that even faded by the wayside. And we eventually would just do midnight mass on Christmas. But and even then, half the time we wouldn't even do that. And after a while, after about 15, 20 years, I just realized, I don't see anything supernatural. I only see, and feel what's in front of me. There's no man in the sky. It's all a bunch of BS. There's nothing after death. And then, of course, I held that belief right up until I was 33 and I had the experience. So
It's funny because your dreams are taking you to a place where they are right in front of you, or someone is.
oh yeah.
I mean,
And I'd love to get back to them. Of course, I'd be begging to stay if I ever did. So
what's that?
I mean, I'd love to get back to them. I'd be begging to stay if I ever, the second I see them again, I'm going to beg them to let me stay, because I have no love of earth.
Have you been able to tell your mother about any of this?
No, my mom died back in 2011. But not for the, yeah. And you know what? I didn't really want to tell her, even in 2003 when this happened, because to be honest, she was so close-minded, and even my father was so close-minded about it that not that she would think that I'd be possessed by the devil or anything because of it, but she would certainly not believe it. So there's no point in wasting any breath on it.
It wasn't a traditional thought in the Catholic Church to experience that.
Oh yeah, they swear you were damned or going to hell or something. So
That's by demons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous talk. Yeah.
Yeah. I live in Southeast Ohio, so when I first started coming out about my NDE, that was my feelings, that people would think I was possessed by demons, trying to be a false prophet, just plain out liar or crazy, or any of those things they come up with to reject what you're saying.
But so I didn't tell anybody for the longest time. The only person I've told is Glenn. So and she accepted it at face value without judgment or recriminations or anything like that. So that was actually very nice.
That is nice. Yeah.
Because I know so many people, they try to tell their spouses, and it's a disaster.
Yeah. Well, when people live with you, they married to you, they know you. And so even
Exactly.
though they may not believe what and have ever heard anything like what you're saying, they know you and know when you're telling the truth. So, and
Oh
know
yeah,
that you just don't go around daily basis making up stupid crap. So
exactly.
they know you haven't been in and out of a mental institution.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
know. And so yeah, so I other than telling her, of course I posted it on NDERF.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, just Sharon, you, and I did try to tell another friend of mine, but he seemed skeptical at the very best. So I figured, just gonna let that one lie with him.
Yeah. And see, a crazy person wouldn't do that. A crazy person wouldn't stop and think, what did they think of me? They think I'm crazy. I'm going to quit talking. I'm only going to tell this one person. Crazy people don't do that.
No, not at
They're
all.
just out here being crazy all the time when they're off of
They'll tell
medication or
anybody anything.
something.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
So,
they don't care what the outcome is. So
right. They're not seeing things from other people's perspective and guarding their safety, etc.
right.
Their reputation. I mean, yeah, because they can't function.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I understand that process of who do I tell, how much do I tell, when do I tell? I mean, because same as with NDEs. I mean, OBEs. They're all spiritual experiences that they don't fade. They mean a lot to us,
Yes.
and
Like
keeping
that
them
one
in.
dream that I had. Oh no,
Huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying that one that the experience back in 2003, the dream that I was dumped into after the fact, I couldn't tell you the first thing about. But the actual experience itself, there's not one detail I don't remember to this day.
Yeah.
So
And see, there's signs like that for our own sanity, at least, to say, well, let's see, this didn't fade. I'm not crazy during the day. These just happen during the
right.
night. I mean, these little checklists of sanity here to keep ourselves in line. Do you think you'll continue telling your experience, or you think you might write a book or anything?
Well, I did talk to Sharon about writing a book at one point. I even wrote an outline, not, I mean, just more like bullet points than anything else. And I didn't realize how many experiences I really had had until I actually wrote them down and looked at them. I was like, oh wow, But yeah, I've kind of got, like I said, bullet points and everything else. But to be honest, I don't know. I've debated. I've kicked it back and forth. I actually
Maybe the
sat down.
nights you have insomnia.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
have
mean,
sat down and I put up, Microsoft Word, and then I was staring at the keyboard with writer's block for about an hour before I finally said, no, I can't do this.
yeah, maybe ask B to help.
Yeah, I think I will, because I needed direction as to where to go, what to do, how to actually start it, how to word it. I mean, I consider myself a fairly good writer, but it doesn't mean I can't use help. So
Do you know what the block is? Do you think the block is maybe, do I want to say this, or do I want to put it out there? What it is?
well, that's actually a little of both, about probably half of both. Nerves about the idea of what people would think of it. Most people are going to label me as crazy. The other half are going to be like, well, yeah, I guess it could have happened. But, I saw some of the reviews when Sharon's book was released. I actually had to post a rebuttal to a negative comment that was made, saying, hey, don't judge her. You didn't have this experience she did. Why do you think it wouldn't be real, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. She calls me crying when she gets those.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm like, you're Sharon freaking Milliman,
yeah,
She's
exactly.
very popular. People just love her. She is nice to everybody. And you're going to get a jab now and then. Me, I get them all day, every day. So, I mean, I really can't sit and hold your hand while you cry too long, because this is the life of Peggy. So
Yeah.
welcome to it, Sharon.
It's like I got my own problems. Can't deal with yours.
Well, I mean, she's so tenderhearted.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, I found that out.
yeah. Yeah. And I was too, but I mean, when you get kicked around so much, you've got
It
to
really,
get a thicker skin.
yeah, it really hardens your heart a little bit, and I hate
You
to
get
say that
jaded.
because Yeah, I don't like being jaded like that. I like to trust
Yeah.
people until they give me a reason to not trust them.
Yeah. Right. Right. But I mean, but when you're on Facebook, you're on social media a lot,
Oh
like I
yeah,
am. I
yeah,
mean, bam, out of the blue. Here's you got one person. Oh, Peggy, I just love your story and blah, blah, blah. And then over here, you got you're whatever.
yeah. You're so full of crap.
Yeah. I
There's no
love
way
it when
that
people
happened.
when people say, you think you're this, you think, I was like, I don't even know what I think most of the time. How are you in my head what I think?
Oh, that's funny.
But anyway, I really appreciate you having the courage to come on.
Yeah, I
And
didn't freeze.
yeah, and you're my first out of body experience. And I think I've got
Oh,
another
good.
one scheduled. I think it's either I got one scheduled tomorrow and I got one scheduled Monday, but one of them hasn't had near death experience either. Her she's angels and stuff. So I
Okay.
mean, we all get what we're supposed to get.
Yeah, essentially, we
So
all get what helps us grow spiritually at that point.
yeah, because what will work for me wouldn't work for you, vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think of them as Christmas gifts, like Jesus in front of the tree and passing out all these gifts to kids. And some people think, well, this is all I got. I didn't give very much.
Well, tell them to pass one out to me too.
And that's the way I was when with my NDE, I thought, was mine an NDE? Because I hear these stories, they're so elaborate and they saw all this stuff. And mine was just this really personal thing. And that's the first time I told mine was on NDERF.
Right.
And just typed it out. And I thought, it's mine, I didn't care that it wasn't all that, but it was mine, just like your thing, it's yours.
Right.
And I've had several people say, well, I don't want to tell my NDE because there wasn't that much to it. And I thought, well, you haven't started opening it yet. You haven't started talking about it and looking at all the
Exactly.
details, because when you do, it's like you keep opening up. And then when you come on like this, and I think, and you tell it, like public, it takes on a whole different light. Like you might process things you didn't see before, make connections before.
Right.
So anyway, I'm the type of person likes to pick things apart and look at every little aspect.
Yeah, you get into the minutia. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got comments. It's like, won't that lady shut up? She's annoying. Won't you just let him talk? She has too many questions. Like, well, my show. I gotta pick it apart. I gotta see it as clear as I can. And hopefully it will you too. So I really appreciate it. And I'll be talking to you later on Facebook. Okay.
Okay.